welcome once again to Japan Expert Insights. As always, we have Mayamatsu Oka in the studio. Well, in Tokyo, in the studio, so to speak. Hello, Maya. And then
Hello.
And then Greg Dale's going to be on the show here in a moment. So as everyone's logging in, we usually like to chit chat with the audience and let people know some things that are going on. Last night, the Japan American Society of Chicago had their 95th anniversary gala. It was a very lovely event. And, you know, for those of you in the Chicagoland area and you're looking to sign up for some wonderful Japanese organizations, the Japan American Society of Chicago is one of several that I could highly recommend. There are two JASCs in Chicago, and both of them are wonderful. So please sign up for that. I'm reminded, an old friend of mine pointed out many, many years ago, I used to do a cable access show. I didn't do it. My friends did it. It was a local music video show. Now, for those of you who are maybe a little bit on the younger age, there used to be a thing called cable access. We used to have cable television, and then in order to broadcast things, because we didn't have the internet, we had to have some connections to be able to do stuff on local cable access shows. And I was reminded that that show was on Thursdays at 8 p.m., which is when we air our show. And so I want to give a shout out to some of those people who used to work on that program, because they got me my start. So to Frank Vance, to Skip Lanham, and to Jamie Evans Carlson, who sadly, she passed away. Gosh, it's been so long ago, 1998. Her and her husband died in a car accident. And what was, it was just tragic. And we still, it's funny how people can be gone for so many years and we still miss them. And she's one of those people we still miss. But what was interesting about the dynamic of that show is that Frankie V, or Frank Vance, was the host of the show, and Jamie would just be kind of yelling at him and making sure he stays on track throughout the whole program. So the fact that I got Maya here to kind of make sure I stay on track, it's kind of I was realizing there was a wonderful homage, but also this sort of serendipitousness of the fact that here we are doing live programming all the years later, but very different topics. They did music videos, and we talk about Japan entertainment here. And what we got going tonight is very exciting because it's a premiere episode. The nice thing about starting a podcast is you have a lot of firsts. And this is the first time we're actually having a guest who is premiering a film this evening in Japan. And so we're just thrilled to have Greg Dale on the show with us. So Greg, without further ado, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much. Hi, Maya. Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone.
How you feeling? You a little nervous? You got a exciting night, right?
I was nervous actually 2 days ago. And I guess by yesterday, I just decided, que sera, sera. And actually, I thought that we would be opening tonight. We opened 2 hours ago. So,
oh my gosh, you had the premiere 2 hours ago?
Congratulations.
We did have the premiere, but the point is that the Japanese cinemas have this really weird way of doing things. So we knew we were opening on the 19th, but we didn't know what time. And so we expected it to be at night. No, our first show was at 8 a.m. I think we got 15 people to come and see it, probably bleary-eyed. Hopefully we woke them up. But we're in 26 cinemas today, and averaging 2 to 3 showings on the day. So in some places, we started at 8 a.m.
So
8 a.m.
It is September 19th, 2005, for those who might be listening to this on the replay. But obviously, we are doing this live. So right now, if anyone wants to see this film, where can they catch it? Obviously, you can't name all the places, but are there going to be any events, or is it just going to be shown wide? Any places you can refer to catch this film?
Yeah, actually, this is the film. Can you?
Rules of Living.
Yeah, Rules of Living. It's totally bilingual. It's actually based on some of my experiences here in Japan, living with a Japanese woman in a platonic way. We were sharing a 2-bedroom apartment, and there were so many weird cultural things and funny cultural things that happened that I just logged it in my memory, and these ended up in the movie. So we are mainly at the premier cinema, Shinjuku Piccadilly, and we're having our big event tomorrow. So at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a showing, and then we'll have a mass media stage greeting with the star, Minami Kaho, and another very popular actress, Sumire, and me. And our producer will be there. And we'll have a talk for about 20 minutes after that screening. And then right away, we'll have another talk for the next screening. So that's Saturday, tomorrow. If you're in Japan, at Shinjuku Piccadilly, there's still tickets left for the second one. That will not be with mass media, we think. We still don't know. It's a great movie. It's a great film. So the writing is amazing. The directing is amazing. I'm the writer-director, actually. So sorry for saying that.
Well, I know you're biased, but we've heard nothing but good things. So we'll just run with it, actually. So yeah, no, that's that's always very impressive. So once again, for our audiences, at the Shinjuku Piccadilly, 11 a.m. And then when's the other showing?
The other one is at 2:15. That's when we start the stage greeting, and then it will actually show from 2:40. I think is what it is. But other than that, we're at 26 cinemas all over Japan. So even in Tokyo, we have 3 other cinemas that are showing us. So if you can't come to Shinjuku, there's plenty of opportunity to watch us. And then we're also going to be adding cinemas as we go along. So we have some cinemas in Okinawa that are starting in the beginning of October. Even in Tokyo, we have a very big cinema, Sunshine Ikebukuro, which will open October 3rd. So we hope audiences come.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Yes, a great introduction.
There's live events happening. You can't beat that, actually. So it's wonderful. Thank you for letting us know. And then for everybody in Japan, please go see this movie. If you can check out these premiere events, at the Shinjuku Piccadilly, do it. Now, Greg, you didn't always live in Japan, and you were originally from New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can tell our listeners, how did this journey begin? How did someone from New York end up in Japan and eventually making movies in Japan?
Pure serendipity. And I think that's kind of what life is all about. Little events lead to big changes. So I was an actor, director, and a writer in New York, struggling off Broadway, a little bit of off Broadway. And I wasn't the type of actor who partied or, would do anything for a role. So things were a little bit slow. And I think when I was about 27, I started writing more. And at that time, I also had to earn a living. So I was working at a high-end shoe store about 20 hours a week. And there happened to be a Japanese director there who was married to an American lawyer. She wanted to do a play in New York in Japanese. And I told her, no way. There's no way that New Yorkers are going to want to go see a Japanese play. But we figured out a way of doing it bilingual. And it was really intriguing. So we had a Japanese play in the middle. We had interpreters on the side, but they also could interact with the actors. We had a wonderful reception. And she then invited me to come to Japan and try the same thing. And I did. I was getting a little bit disappointed with the New York scene. I'd never been to Asia before, but there were so many things. Even my way of thinking was very Eastern, I guess you can say. And I came here, and her group was so amazing. I met one of the foremost playwrights here. He was also the artistic director of the Kobe Performing Arts Foundation. We became friends. He was about 30 years older than me. We spoke in English till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he ended up casting me in a Broadway-level play without ever seeing me act. And then after that, he ended up hiring me for 4 directions, also at Kobe and Tokyo, without ever seeing me direct. So, I love the fact that a lot of this happened just because of conversations, because of connecting with people, and that they trusted me because of who I was.
And I think the theme of the day is going to be serendipity. I think we're just going to run with it. That's going to be our word of the day, our theme of the day. You started, it looks like people go through your, IMDb credits, you did some work for the video game industry in those initial years.
Yeah, that's constant. Being an artist here in Japan in this business, you have to do everything. I have a family, so I have to do all kinds of work. I've done narrations. I've done, I think maybe if some of you know the Crimson Pig, which is Miyazaki Hayao, the super famous anime director. I did the original English version here. And then when it was translated to America, Cary Ulwis actually played my role. And I'm sure he was much, much better than me. But I've done lots of stuff. So TV dramas, movies, commercials, video promotions. And honestly, it's fun. I also am super, super lucky that I was one of only 2 actors, because I had New York training and experience, that I was in 2,000 seat theaters, maybe for 10, 15 productions. These are all ridiculous. They're called jiraigeki. They're historical plays.
Right. Yeah.
3.5 hours long. Everybody brings their bento. The average age of the audience is 74, but they love it. And they have these huge, huge stars like Elizabeth Taylor caliber. And I always played like the bad guy. If you can believe, look at this face. Like a bad guy.
With that face, yes, I was going to say, wow, okay, the bad guy is the bad guy, no matter the face then.
Yeah, well, that's one thing here.
Was it like villain roles, but not like who you think the villain would be, but sort of like, oh my gosh, he's the villain kind of roles?
It was kind of, I was the villain because I was a foreigner. So,
okay, yeah.
Usually because I do have this face, it ended up being that I was a nice guy at heart. So, those are most of the roles that I've gotten here. But they're fun. It's great being able to play.
Yeah. Well, you did the voice of a video game I was obsessed with when I was younger. It was Batten. I'm pronouncing it the Japanese way, so I'm probably getting it wrong, but it was like Batten Kaitos, The Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean. Yeah, it was a Nintendo Cube game. I didn't get into it till later, but I was obsessed with this game. I thought it was like the coolest little thing, and so I got to hear your voice many years ago. Did not know it. So that's going to be interesting when people bring that up, right? Because it's not like when you're doing a film. I mean, you're actually acting in the film. I mean, you do video game voiceovers, and you're only probably so involved. I would imagine that process, they probably give you like what the character looks like, and maybe they give you kind of an overview of what the game's going to be, so you have something to work with. But for the most part, do you feel removed more from a video game project than you do a film project or a television project?
I think with anything here, preparation time is nil. So you basically go in, same thing for auditions. You go in, you get what you have to do. You have 5 minutes to prepare, you do it. And it's the same thing with jobs mostly. Sometimes you don't get the script till the day before. So you got to learn to be very flexible, very fast. It helps to have experience. But I enjoy that. I love the fact that I have to be quick, that I have to come up with ideas. One anime that I did, a movie, it was in the Dot Hack series, and I was one of the main roles. And they wrote it for a Japanese. I mean, the character for a Japanese, and it was in Kansai-ben, which is a very hard thing to do.
Right.
And my wife happens to be from Kansai, so she helped me. But I had to speak this fast in the anime. And my Japanese is good, but it's not fluent. And we had 12 hours to do a 2-hour movie. And it's like, all this stuff going on. And everybody goes up to the mic and does their line and then runs back. Somebody else goes up to the other mic. And the hilarious thing is that one of the characters came in a business suit. And he's this 45-year-old, quiet, absolute nerd. And, he walks up to the mic, and he's the guy who's playing the warrior. And he goes up to the mic and goes, yeah! And there's just this enormous energy. And I'm like, oh my God. So they did everything almost one take. Almost one. I had to go through 2 or 3 takes because obviously timing and everything. But it's challenging.
What did
Well,
you?
yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go Maya. If you had a question, go right ahead.
No, I wanted to say challenging. I imagine it's also very rewarding because I heard you in the beginning. You said that it's interesting, it's exciting, and everything. So, but how long did it take you to get used to this necessity for flexibility, or did you go just dive into it straight away after you came to Japan?
I think one way to describe myself is I'm a jack of all trades. So
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the other side is that master of none. Um, I
Okay.
all through high school and college, I just was so interested in different things. So once I felt I had learned enough about acting, then I started to direct. Once I thought I had learned enough about directing, I started to write. And it's a process. So it took me 30 years, I think, to become a good writer. And
Mm-hmm.
not to hate it. I used to hate it. And for this film, for Rules of Living, we had some superstars join us. And so I had to write scenes for them. And some of my screenplays, I've taken 30 years to write, rewriting, going back 5 years later, rewriting for these new scenes for Rules of Living. It took me 45 minutes. And again, it's because I've become used to it. Also, because I
Mm-hmm.
sat with characters for such a long time, I knew the movie. It was just easy. And it wasn't just for one character. I did this for about 4 or 5 characters. So again, I think if you put in the work, the inspiration comes. So even as a director, before I even step into the first day of rehearsal, I will read the play 100 times,
Mm-hmm.
200 times. As an actor, I'll read it 50 times. And there's just so much information, so much creativity. And then you get an idea of, oh, wow, I got it. I want to do it this way. So, um, yeah, it takes sweat, it takes hard work, it takes
Mm-hmm.
creativity, risk. And just to go back to, whether doing anime or voiceover is challenging, any expression that you can do is valuable. So the acting that I do as a voice actor, the acting that I do in movies, on TV, on stage, all has the same element, but you just adjust it for different sizes.
So you did this for a long time, and I noticed that as a performer, you did a lot of performing in Japan.
Yeah.
And then Rules of Living is your first sort of credited director, writer. Was there things you'd worked on behind the camera before you did Rules of Living to kind of prep you for this, or was this your first real, just as do it?
Bingo. Yeah, the latter.
Okay.
I've been in front of the camera a lot. So I'm a trained stage actor and director. But as a writer, I write screenplays. So I love dialogue. I love what you say versus what you mean, what you say versus what you want to get from the other person. Uh, if I have to, talk about what I'm good at, I'm really good at dialogue. I'm terrible at plot. That's why it takes me 30 years sometimes to write a screenplay. Um, but I think that uh, all that experience that I had in front of a camera and as a director, what is most valuable to me is communication, honesty. You just shift parts of yourself to fit a character. You don't fake anything. You don't have to become somebody else. You just
Right.
shift yourself, and that's how you create your roles. Is my way of thinking and what works for me, and also what I teach, what I direct. So I think even though I had no experience behind a camera, I had a consulting director who has experience. Uh, I'm also the main actor. So whenever we shot my scenes, I would go and see a playback immediately. And then I would adjust little things. And I do this also when I'm acting for other movies. I always want to see what I look like.
Mm.
I can adjust little things, not just facially, but also the feelings that I have. And so honestly, when I came in for this project, I was wearing 4 hats because I was also a producer. But the writing part was over. And we just trusted the Japanese actors. We told them you can change any words you want. Our star changed about 3%. Our second star changed one line. So that also is a testament to how good the Japanese was. And that was done by my wife and me a little bit. And then I just was able to totally disassociate. So when I was acting, I was acting. And then the minute the scene was over, I was the director. And the same thing when I actually was not in the scene, I would prep the actors. And we also had about 2 hours of prep for everybody, even before we started the entire process. And then we just shot. And I left a lot of the angles up to my cinematographer, trusted him completely. I came up with ideas, but I'm not a dictator. So I understand that everybody has their ability, and I really rely on that. And I'm really proud of the product.
Yeah, I think that it's often difficult for people to delegate, right? And you seem to be perfectly fine with that. So, what helped you get to that point? Because I have worked with people in other fields of course, business, some arts as well, and they still find it difficult to delegate to their collaborators and the colleagues and everything. And it seems that it works very well, only if you feel comfortable with it, right?
Yeah, I think you would crash in this business, especially in Japan. I know that, we want to talk about working in Japan. They do 16 scenes a day in most movies. It's insane. They work 16 hours a day. And actually, the directors delegate enormously here. Everybody has their own role. Sometimes I really think the director should take more control of certain elements. In this business is different. So first of all, as a writer, as a screenwriter, if you think that your word is the word of God, get out. Write novels, write poetry. You're not gonna enjoy a career. And as soon as you sell something, you're going to have 20 people telling you to change things. So my flexibility happened just because of the way I was brought up and who I am, but also having gone through that experience of rewriting. Sometimes when I write a section, I will look at the one line that I hope to be a comic line. I'll write it 20 different ways. And then I'll read through up until that line, changing little words, changing rhythm, changing tempo, changing stress until I find what works for me. So that finally, if I sell it, somebody says, no, change it. Okay, I'll change it. So I think that you have to be flexible. And in terms of delegating, my God, there's just no time to do it all by yourself. And I think the one thing that a lot of people forget is that any art is an art and a business. And unfortunately, with movie business, they call it the movie business. They don't call it the movie art. So the people who are in charge are younger and younger, and they are so interested in the bottom line that art really takes a back seat. So you have to be able to be as artistic as you can, but then be flexible and understand it's a business. So sometimes they will cast somebody who is totally inappropriate, but they are famous or they have followers, and you've got to deal with that.
You get that here too. That's not very. It's funny you mentioned though that you talk about like writing dialogue. I mean, I always love writing dialogue. It's sort of like vocabulary, dancing. It's just the way words, and you can just play with them. And you can just make them and shape them. And I understand what it takes to, like, when you're having to write, you just refine, and you're just, how one phrase will set up another phrase, and, and that the minutiae gets into. So, but people will always tell you, like, oh yeah, you got to change this. How have you found to take advice, but have you ever pushed back and said, you know what, no, this is the way it has to be? How do you determine what needs to stay and when you should accept advice? Because I think it's a really tricky thing. That's a really tricky thing. Yeah.
Extremely hard. And believe me, I can get very egotistical as well. So, the problem is no, if nobody's buying it and they're just giving you advice and they're saying, you've got to change these 40 pages, cut this character, what do you do? I mean, if you have somebody who's just a friend or family or somebody in the business, you just have to somehow realize what works for you. And it's extremely hard, like you said, Michael. And I hate that process. So obviously, once you do sell it, once you do get a producer, you will have to take what they say, especially if you're starting out. There are only a handful of writers who can say, no, this is it. Don't change a thing. But you've got to really have a history to be able to get to that point. And even then, I don't think that that's right. I think it's a collaborative process. And the one thing that I was afraid of when I took on the 4 roles is that I would deny the interpretive collaborative process. But luckily, everything was so separate that I allowed a lot of leeway for everyone. And I'm happy for it. I think it's a much better product.
Well, I imagine it's like you have to have your anchors, right? There might be 2 or 3 things that or concepts or ideas about the film, about Rules of Living that, okay, like you have these sort of mental guardrails where, we can play, but there are certain areas, whether it be a character or whether it be like, sort of like aesthetic or something where, okay, this is out of bounds. And so maybe that's part of it, is understanding the out of bounds areas. It's almost like you look at it from a looking glass perspective. And, but I think that's one of the most challenging things, I think, about the film business, is because everybody's got an opinion and who to listen to and who not to listen to. And sometimes I imagine you probably get 3 or 4 opinions about the same character, and then you got to pick which one you're going to follow, knowing that you might hurt some feelings. The internal politics as well in making a film. There's a lot of people like to dream about making movies, but then when you actually make them, you're in an office basically. And so you're in an office setting where there's office politics. In your first film, since you played so many roles, were you able to circumvent a lot of like maybe the issues that other films have when especially if you're making a film in Japan?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about dealing with the producers and people who bought your screenplay, I actually have jumped all that. I never sold a screenplay until Rules of Living. And it was because a friend of mine loved it. And we actually were super lucky. I mean, I hate to say it, but because of COVID, all production companies were closing down. So the Japanese government allowed production companies, they wanted us to keep working. So they said, okay, we will give a certain amount of money to get you started and still work. So we applied for that, and it took forever, a lot of red tape, but we got it. And then from there, we were also able to get money. So for this project and for no project, I've actually had people, over my head going, no, you got to do this, you got to do this. My producer friend just absolutely let me run with it. So I am actually not looking forward to, having people demand crazy things, putting the Smurfs to a drama or, whatever it may be.
Well, that Smurfs movie did bad. I don't think you have to worry about the Smurfs. I think they're gonna have to reboot that in 10 years. It just
right.
Where, yeah. But so getting to the movie that's premiering now. This is shown in festivals, so this isn't necessarily the first time people have seen this film. Right. You did the festival circuit first. When that started about like a year ago.
We're still doing it. We were very naive. As a first-time director, my chance of getting into Cannes, Berlin, Venice, Toronto, and Sundance were 0.1%. They're very political. But if that had happened, we would have had a dream journey. So we took an entire year. You have to wait because it has to be a world premiere at all of those. Took an entire year to try and get in. We didn't get in. And so then we started to apply to the second level. And last year, we got into Sedona International Film Festival. We were just so thrilled to get in. It's a really good 9-day festival, mainly for independent cinema. And we were there for all 9 days. The director took such good care of us. And 2 days before the awards,
I think
received the highest art judging panel. And so, you know, this is our world premiere for a movie that my first movie. And 2 days before the awards, he came up to us, and our wives were there as well. And he said, you know, you guys are going to win Best Feature Comedy. Like, what? Out of 2,000 submissions. And then he said, and I'm telling you this because you are so close to winning the audience award as well. And we did. We came within a hair of winning the audience award. But we weren't expecting this at all. We were just so thrilled to get into Sedona. But because of that, we've also gotten into 3 Japanese. We were at the red carpet at Yokohama. We've gotten into a German, 2 Italian. We won in India. We just found out that we got into Dili, which is a new nation that split off from Papua New Guinea, I think. I'm sorry, I just got this yesterday. And 6 in America. So we're in Big Bear, California next week. We've had 5 this month.
Right. Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you. So even, you know, if Japan is tough, we still are continuing Japan, but we really believe, you know, these programmers from such disparate countries, and even in America, we've had supremely liberal, minority oriented, and supremely conservative, upper middle class who've selected us. So we really think that there's an audience worldwide for what we have to say, because it's about the human condition. It's about connecting. And it's especially about accepting people from other cultures, to see what our differences are. And I look at the differences in a comical way, because there are differences, right? Yeah. And you end up, instead of fighting those differences, if you can get to a point where you really accept, compromise, you still hold onto your beliefs, but you adjust.
Right.
And can grow. And that's what the film is about, basically. One of the themes.
So what else? Now, for our viewers who don't know about Rules of Living, this is the first time they're hearing about it. Can you give us a synopsis as to what this film is about?
Sure.
It's about a little bit, but more of a deep dive into.
Okay. Yeah. I'll read something that I've prepared as well. So the log line is, it's about a middle-aged Japanese woman who has to take in a middle-aged American man as a roommate in order to survive. And this actually is from, I mentioned before, you know, I lived with a Japanese woman platonically. And I used a lot of my experiences, again, looking at it in a comical way. But Mikuko, the main character, who's played by Minami Kaho, she's a phenomenal actress. She happens to be the ex-wife of Ken Watanabe, but she's also very well known here in Japan. She has a great fan base, a brilliant actress, brilliant person. Her character is locked in life. So she's taking care of an ailing mother. Her daughter has escaped and is backpacking around the world and sending her all these gorgeous postcards from places Mikuko could never go to. She's in a no-end job where nobody accepts her abilities. And she is engaged, or she's connected with a boyfriend from childhood who is an elite businessman. So everybody is pushing her, remarry, marry this guy, your life will be perfect. But she doesn't love him. And into this life comes me, a backpacker with a mysterious past. You can imagine, you know, middle-aged, look at me, I'm a backpacker. And I come in and I'm trying to live freely. I'm trying to live with no connections. So we are at the opposite ends of the spectrum. She is full of responsibility and boredom, and I'm no responsibility and just loving it. And of course, neither is good. Balance is important. And so slowly fighting each other all the way comically, we end up kind of melding and understanding that we can take a part of each other's abilities, and we can grow from that. And then, of course, there's the cultural things. There are so many themes that I never even intended. Women around the world still have it tough. There is no real equality, honestly. Even in Europe and America, and Europe certainly is way ahead. There's so much responsibility that is put on them, and Japan especially is so tough. The roles that they have to play here.
Yeah.
And so I want this to be our byline is Yumete imakara demo hajimete ii. It's never too late to start your dream. So this applies even to 25-year-olds who have chosen a path that they don't like anymore. And we found this out from some of our audiences. Of course, it appeals to our main audience, which is above 35 women, and especially Japanese women. But it also appeals to men. We've had 55-year-old Japanese businessmen who come up to us and go, yes, this is what I wanted to do my whole life. So I really hope, honestly, financially, I hope we're successful. But I also hope that we're successful because we really want to affect people. We really want to help find that path. And if you're happy with what you're doing, that's great. That's great. Even if you're happy with what you're doing and you want to just try something else on the side, that's great. But let me just read what Kaho, our star, has said about this. It'll take about a minute and a half. Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay.
We have an hour show.
Good. She's amazing. She's done 6 interviews now. She's she's just phenomenal. She is so upfront. There's not one fake bone in her body. So she says, first and foremost, if you haven't established your own identity, no matter how wonderful a person you meet, you'll always end up living to match someone else's expectations. Mikuko, her character, values herself deep down, and that's why she's distressed and wants to escape her gloomy circumstances. Sorry, this is ChatGPT. This is not me writing. But she never had the concept of putting herself first. She was used to always considering others' feelings, raising a daughter, caring for a parent, working at a company. While trying to fulfill all these roles, she lost her own voice. That's why I went into filming with the theme, is it wrong to value yourself? So this is Kaho saying this. After all, it's your life. You should be the protagonist. If you're not shining, you can't light up those around you. If you're worn down, you don't have the energy to help others. So living in a way that values yourself is not the same as being selfish. I hope people can realize that. And then finally, she says, the key to turning your life around is to let go of fixed ideas. Let go of the shoulds and the musts, and your world will change. This film and Mikuko taught me that. Thank you, Kaho. If you stay in your own narrow world, you'll never take new steps forward. Instead, listen to people with different values. Be curious, and that might spark your own transformation. This mindset was strengthened by Rules of Living. Through this film, what I want to convey is anyone can make themselves happy. It's a beautiful work. I hope many people will see it. Thank you, Kaho.
That's lovely.
No, it's great because I have lived in Japan for over 24 years now, and I come from a culture which has a lot of, let's say, shared value with the Japanese culture. And I can relate to a lot of what you just read to us because, I mean, not only because of my own culture, but also I have watched my mother-in-law, for example, and relatives and women I have met here, friends as well. And yeah, it is really overwhelming. And because of the societal expectations, people just don't look deeper into this. Because everybody, there is a role in society for everybody, for men, for women, for children, for the elderly, and so on and so on. And these roles are accepted and they're never questioned, right? But most of the time, and I'm saying this because women, they do have a lot of responsibilities, there are a lot of expectations concerning them, but also it's the same with everybody, men as well, right? And I was happy to hear you say that men also can relate to the story, and it's kind of cathartic to them as well. Because for women, I'm sure that it is. But we need movies like that who can appeal to different members of society, so that eventually they get together and that feeling is shared, right? And so that they can move forward together. So I wanted also to ask you, maybe it's a little bit too early, but is there a website where people can find the schedule, the screening schedule of the movie in Japan?
Yeah, our main website, unfortunately, is in Japanese. But
Oh,
hey,
that's
ChatGPT.
okay. Yes.
I used to have to ask my wife everything to translate. I just now copy, and to get in the information, getting the information it's perfectly fine. So anyway, whatever you use, AI,
Mhm,
use it. We are at r-living.jp.
mhm.
r-living.jp, and that has lots of information. It has critiques from three very famous Japanese critics. We've also had 5-star critiques from American critics as well. Those aren't on there. It has our schedule for tomorrow, for the stage greetings. It also has our newest trailer. Please watch it. It's great. And then at the very bottom, it has a listing of all the theaters. So, again, in Japanese. The problem is, in Japan, the theaters only put their schedule up 3 days ahead. So
Yeah,
if you
yes,
like,
exactly.
if you want to reserve a ticket a week from now, you can't. For most of them, some of them still you can still can. But a lot of people just show up at the theater anyway. And right now is a pretty down time. We've been looking all across the boards at all the movies, and
Mhm.
our 15 people that saw it at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of par for the course for all the movies that are happening right now. Um, so you can find the listings there, and then you just go to the websites of the theaters. Again, our main one is Shinjuku Piccadilly, and then you punch in there. They'll say, so today is the 19th. So they'll have the schedule up through seats. You buy your tickets, and that's it. That's
Michael Ryan
how
just
it
posted
works.
the comment on the comment board. He just posted the website. So for those who are watching,
Oh,
you
good.
can check
Oh, yeah.
it out. Hi,
Thank you.
Michael. Yes.
Thank you,
And then,
Mike.
yes, and Andrew says hello and thanks for creating, Mr. Dale.
Thank you.
Now, getting back to the film being, is it autobiographical or did you just take these kind of like these collections of things that happened to you? Like, how far removed is the film from the actual events of your life? Did you create, because it seems like you weren't necessarily a person who's that free spirited who would come in and just wanted to, like, surf or whatever. You obviously have, when you came to Japan, you had work, you had things going on as well. So how much of it was made up? How much of it is really your life?
I'm a thinker. I sit back and look and watch and listen, and I miss opportunities a lot because I'm not a doer. I don't jump in. So I think Vincent, my character, uh, his past is kind of like that, but he also was not a very nice person. And so he was very successful, but he really wanted to break off from that because it ruined his life. So he's gone totally opposite, and he's like a little kid now, backpacking
Mhm.
around the world, no cares, no cell phone, very little money. Um, so, as a director and as a writer, as I said before, you don't leap into a character. I've played, as I said, bad guys. In one movie, I was a real, can I say shit? on this? I just said, oh, I said,
Sure, that's okay. Yeah.
okay. I was a real shit. So I'm not. But how do I play that? But I've done shitty things and I've used shitty behavior before. So my method is you learn all those behaviors as an actor so that you can use them anytime. And even nasty behaviors, if they're used in a good context, right? They're not horrible. So you just reshape your personal recipe to become somebody. Vincent was not that far away from me in terms of who he is now, except he's much happier and much more, I get just free will. I could never do what Vincent does. But I did backpack around Asia when I was 30 for a total of 11 months. And this was insane for me. If you told me at age 25 that this would happen, no way. But again, serendipity, pure serendipity. I was just at a party and somebody that I really didn't know, didn't really like, kind of a stuck-up person, was talking to somebody else. And I just happened to overhear him say, oh yeah, I backpacked around Southeast Asia. It was amazing. And I went, you backpacked? And then that just opened the door. I started to look into it. I swear to God, if I had been 2 yards away from him, I would not be sitting here today. So life is just full. And it wasn't even somebody that I'd ever talked to. You know, if I had had a cold that day and not gone to the party, if, you know, he had talked about his experiences, all these things that can change your life. So yeah, there's a lot of Vincent that I wish I could do. I wish I could be as free and open. But that's a part of me as well. It's in me. So it was a blast to be able to play him. And it kind of was the only character I've ever played who was just nice. Totally. But he ends up kind of ruining, from his point of view, he ends up ruining Mikuko's standard staid life. And he feels very guilty about that. But I won't give away too much.
Yeah, go see the movie, everybody. Go see it. So a lot of people, you know, they dream about making films. And I think more and more people want to make films in Japan. I think part of why our podcast has gotten such attention is because it's sort of a trending topic. So what lessons did you learn doing writing, directing, producing, and acting in your first film, doing all this at once? What lessons did you learn that you would impart on filmmakers wanting to do the same thing?
Yeah, I was afraid.
I know that's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let me start with the negatives first.
Okay.
As I said before, they'd shoot 16 scenes a day. If you go to NHK, which is the state-owned broadcaster, they have phenomenal facilities. In one room, they can create 4 intertwined sets, and then strike it for the next day, and then just have a blue screen, green screen the next day. They have a roof, a ceiling with lights all on tracks that a computer just resets with the gels so that nobody's up there on ladders resetting things. So that's TV. The movies is still probably kind of like the 1960s in America. Honestly, it's duct tape and, you know, something to block the sun and filters and glue, and then somebody hanging there, you know, holding it up. They get it done. They get it done super fast. For us, our cinematographer was incredibly picky about the lighting. So he refused to have that type of kind of, I don't want to say Mickey Mouse because it actually works. But he wanted a deeper vision for his film. And he did beautifully. And he worked with the lighting designer. Everybody's sick. Everybody gets colds because they're constantly working. They're just so exhausted. Right. And, you know, some of the directors still are from the 1940s and they yell at people. I believe in love. I believe in positivity. I believe in bringing joy into the shooting process, but it's work. It's work. You must come prepared. You must.
Yeah.
In Japan, they also believe in one take. Literally,
Oh.
95% of all the movies, all the TV shows that I've done, one take for each angle. So they set it up, they take it, that's it. It's in the can. And so what I do is I run to the director and I peek over his shoulder at the playback, and then I see what I've done, and then I will adjust what I've done for the next take. And obviously that one's in the can, so you can't change that much. But that's how I have developed a way of dealing with this. And I just figure out how to make it funnier or deeper or more communicative. So for us, the weird thing is that because we're low budget, we didn't have choices in location. We had, for our main set, which is Mikuko's home, which is 1/3 of the entire movie, we were 20 yards away from a main train line. 3-4 minutes. Every 3-4 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So the sound guy was, cut, we can't do it. So we'd have to retake. But the beauty is that everyone was so professional that actually Kaho, she would just get deeper every time. She wouldn't like do something completely crazy, because really, I don't believe in that. I believe that you rehearse it, you figure out what you want to do, and then you just, you polish that. Mm-hmm. If you have a little bit of inspiration while you're doing it, that's great too. But you want to, especially if you have several takes, you need to be able to connect them with continuity, of course. She would just get deeper. She would get funnier. And we all had to do that sometimes because we had 4-5 takes because of sound problems. One of the themes in the movie is how horrible the Japanese are at English. And I make fun of it. And my character Vincent has to teach at a school, and he's horrible. He's a horrible English teacher. But the Japanese have been learning English for 80 years. And they've been learning it from the 1920s. So, and they still learn from the 1920s, is what I want to say. So they have a vested interest in people not being proficient in English. So when I was in New York, working part-time, we had, this was in the 80s, we had tons of Japanese tourists who would come. They came on JAL. They stayed in a Japanese hotel. They went on Japanese buses. They ate at Japanese restaurants. The only thing that they bought in America in their 1 week was shoes from me and bags from Chanel. Every single yen was spent in Japan. So, sorry, this is political. Japan had a vested interest in keeping everybody not proficient so that they wouldn't go off on their own. They would have to go on a tour. They would have to spend money in Japan for Japan, no matter where they went. So you will find extraordinarily hilarious misuses of English here. And just as an example, our props guy, we have a calendar in the movie. He showed me the calendar that he made. August, September, spelling misses in the calendar.
Right. Right.
We had a place where Mikuko has to eat what Vincent has in the fridge, and she's interested in blue cheese. And of course, she has a weird expression. And 5 minutes before the shooting, I'm double checking and I look, cheese is spelled CHEES on the label that he has painstakingly created, but he never checked the English. So then we're running to the convenience store to try and get a little trademark, the little R thing, so that the cheese is actually the name of the company instead of a spelling mistake. Just crazy stuff you have to deal with here.
Has it gotten better? Because I know, or has it just been the consistently this way? Because I know a lot of things have changed over the last 20 years, but has this changed at all, or no?
Again, it's low budget. So we ran into problems that a big budget would not have, or even a mid-sized budget. The beauty is that the Japanese really incorporate a lot from the Western world and from Asia. They want to. At least half of the things that they show here are from outside Japan. They want to learn. They want to experience different cultures. Of course, there are barriers, but if you really want to work here, or even bring something over, or do a joint venture, you will need to have people who understand the business here. You will need to double check the people who are interpreting for you, because they too have nobody to check them. So many, many times you will have a Japanese interpreter who is not bilingual, who's not fluent, and you don't really know if what you're saying is getting through to the people.
Right.
But it's an extraordinary experience to be in a different country and creating. And I don't know if you could get any more different than Japan. The culture, the beauty, the soul of the Japanese, whatever barriers you have are bureaucratic barriers. If you can get to the Japanese themselves, that's what's beautiful here. The food, of course, the anime, the architecture, the natural elements, the temples. It's extraordinary here, and we shot a lot in those areas, and it was just a thrill, a real thrill. But if you really want to come, then definitely you will need to get some kind of bilingual, bicultural group.
What's next for you, Greg? Are you still gonna? Obviously, you're still pushing this film, Rules of Living. It's gonna be all over Japan. Maybe eventually we'll get to see it in the States a little bit more.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, we really hope. Even if our Japanese run is tough, we have independent cinemas coming up here. We hope that it translates according, from what we're seeing from the festivals. We really think it has a global appeal. So we really think this is going to be a big hit. It's a slow burn, so we're going to survive on word of mouth. We want 80% of people who see this movie to go, damn it, I'm calling my mother. I'm getting her down here. I'm calling my brother. I'm calling my sister. I'm calling my daughter, calling my son, my best friend. Come see this movie. That's how we will become successful. I have 5 screenplays that I've written.
Right.
2 are in Japan. So again, it's so hard to break into this industry. I've tried to shop them around. I've had phenomenal critiques from this movie, but still, agents will not take me on unless Rules of Living is a success financially in America. So I'm working as best I can. 3 of them are huge Hollywood screenplays. One of them is a 1 million budget Japanese movie. Another is about a 50 million Japanese American venture. These are all screenplays. If anybody's watching, has a ton of money or connections, you can just reach me somehow through the website. I've worked a lot on these, and everything that I work on has something to do with human nature, but they're completely different genres. So it's like creating a baby. I do not create the same baby at the same time. Each one has its own individual character. And also that's what I love, because that's what inspires me to write.
Well, congratulations on getting Rules of Living shown in Japan. I hope we get to have some sort of release here in the States. And, if for those, check out this trailer. It's a solid trailer, and you don't say that a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of independent films, and you watch the trailer, and the trailer is like, okay, maybe you'll see it. And it ends up being a really good film, but the trailer just doesn't sell the film like it should. And the first time when I first heard about this film, and I think it was Greg, not Greg, it was Jeff, from way back when. Yeah, he was talking about it, and I remember telling him, like, yeah, that trailer really, that trailer snaps. That is a good trailer. And I don't just say that lightly. A good trailer is very, very hard to do. And so it got me interested in seeing it right away. So I was just very, very happy to have you on the show to be able to talk about Rules of Living here today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And one caveat to that trailer, it's in Japanese. We are gearing it to the Japanese. We do have an older trailer that we used for Sedona, which is purely comical. So if you want to see that, it's rulesoflivingfilm.com. And then you can also check us out on Facebook, Rules of Living Feature Film. And we've got tons of information about the movie. You can see our interview at Sedona when we won the award. So please, we need your support. If you're in America, oh God, we hope we can come over and meet you personally. And if you're in Japan, I will be going to many cinemas dressed as Vincent. And we have a small campaign that you can also see at r-living.com. We'll be giving away a free backpack to people who post for us. So if you're in Japan, check it out. It's in English and Japanese. And it's been a blast being here with you guys.
Yeah. Are you going to be in Shinjuku Piccadilly this afternoon? Because it's on my schedule to watch whichever of the screenings still has tickets. So are you going to be there? Yeah, I'm planning to go in, to watch it this afternoon.
It'll be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, our big stage greeting tomorrow. I'm going tonight.
Oh, okay.
To watch it with my family. Maya, will you be there this afternoon?
Yes, I have to check which screening actually still has tickets.
We still have plenty of tickets. Yeah.
Okay, good. So yes, because my schedule is a little bit fluid, and I prefer the earlier screening, but if I'm not able to make it, then it will be the later one. But it's on my schedule today, so I'll be there.
So let me know by email, and then if you are, then I'll try and show up as Vincent.
Okay.
Right. Listeners listening live, you know where they're going to be in the next few hours, so feel free to say hello.
Yes.
Yeah. If you look at the campaign, Where's Vincent? It'll explain everything in English and Japanese about come on up, take a selfie with me, do not be shy, post it, say something about the film. And out of the first 300 people who send us, who hashtag us, we will send a free backpack to one of you randomly. So it's a $300 Gregory backpack. My God.
There we go, guys.
Asia.
If you needed more incentives, so it's a good film. You should go see it. All right, Greg, thank you so much. We'll see you all again in 2 weeks. However, just to let our audience know, I will be on a plane to Japan. So next week we'll be, or next 2 weeks, we'll just record something. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I'm hoping to see a lot of my friends and a lot of my podcast peeps in Japan while I am there. So to everybody listening, thank you so much, and we'll catch you again in a little while.
Yes.
Terrific. Thanks everyone.
See you.
Thank you.